Y'all all remember J.R. Smith's horrendous decision back in Game 1 of the NBA Finals. But what if I told you that he's actually really nice?
Really for anyone, so you kind of see how it's affecting Tony Parker.
J.R Smith! We just saw a man fly!
What's good, YouTube? It's your boy James here. It's all good for you because it's all good for me. Now, as you saw in the intro, J.R. Smith did that terrible play back in Game 1 of the Finals. And J.R. in general has always been known for his foolish tactics. I mean, he airballs free throw sometimes. He acts like he's high. He has even a lot of memes, which I will present to you on the screen right here. And it kind of offends me because as a Knicks fan, I remember him being really good. He was a really good scorer. And even in Denver, he was a really good player there as well. This video is going to prove to you wrong. And it will show you exactly why JR is not a trash player like all these memes suggest. So, let's start from number 1. Playoff bound. In his 14th season of NBA, JR has been in the playoffs 11 times. That's about 80%. So, it's a guarantee that if J.R. Smith is in your basketball team, you're going to the playoffs. Albeit, even though Melo, Nene, Kenyon Martin, Allen Iverson, Chauncey Billups were in his teams back in Denver, he still was a good contributor off the bench. Even in New York, where he was the second best scorer in that team, he still led him to the playoffs. Now in the Cavs, he's also doing pretty well for the Cavs in the playoffs. He's always in the playoffs every single time. The only times he hasn't been in the playoffs was his 2 seasons in New Orleans playing for the Hornets and that 1 season in New York back in 2013-2014. So JR's always been consistent in the playoffs. As of his, he's averaged 11.3 points, 3.2 rebounds, shot 40% from the field and 37% from 3. And he's also an NBA champion from 2015-2016. So whatever you look at it, you may call JR bad or anything, but you can't count him out. He will always be in the playoffs for you. Number 2, best 6-man of the decade. So if I were to come up to you and ask you, who is the best 6-man of today's decade? And you would probably say Jamal Crawford, considering the fact that he has won 3 6-man of the year honors. But it's kind of weird because if you compare Jamal Crawford and J.R. Smith's stats, Jamal Crawford throughout his career has averaged 15 points a game. J.R. Smith, on the other hand, has averaged 12.6 points. And their stats are not that far off, according to the rebounds, assists, the steals, and blocks. So if anything, J.R. Smith is still just as good as Jamal Crawford, but yet Jamal Crawford gets no criticism for anything. If anything, Jamal Crawford and J.R. Smith are just as equal. But Jamal Crawford's not the only person that I'm talking about as well. Eric Gordon, Lou Williams, and Manu Ginobili. Those 3 guys are also quality 6-men in today's NBA, yet they still don't get criticized either. And they also have similar numbers to J.R. Smith. So I don't understand why J.R. Smith gets all the criticism for just being the player who he is. True, J.R. Smith takes stupid shots, but that's just a part of who he is. He needs to take those shots in order to be effective. You want him to not take any, but again, back to what I was saying. JR is just as good as those 4 other players that I just mentioned. Number 3 gave hope to the Knicks. A funky diabetic made a video concerning that 2012-2013 New York Knicks team.
J.R. Smith, who might be a spot shooter for the Cavaliers today, but back on these Knicks, he was actually a huge source of creation for New York.
And those were the days, man. I remember it like it was yesterday. Y'all remember every time J.R. Smith came off the bench and the crowd would erupt every time the PR announcer would announce his name. But that's besides the point. J.R. Smith that season averaged 18 and 5, and he was even considered an all-star snub too. But here's the interesting part. I did a Google sheet, and there were 13 games where J.R. Smith played, but Melo did not play. And in those 13 games, J.R. Smith had averaged 22.4 points, 4.4 rebounds, 3.1 assists, 1.4 steals, and shot almost 40% from the field. Those are all-star numbers. And if you compare his stats to him and Reggie Miller back in 1997-1998, J.R. Smith outperformed Reggie Miller in those 13 games. So that's proof that J.R. Smith did really well whenever Melo was injured. So saying J.R Smith is trash, again, I have to prove to you wrong. Although it was only one season, even in his time in New York, he averaged 15 points and 4 rebounds. And his best time in his career was with the Knicks. So during his tenure with the Knicks from 2012 to 2015, he was still a really good player. So he's not trash at all. Again, just to prove to you wrong. Number 4, 30,000 tattoos. Now what I mean by 30,000 tattoos is that Chris Smooth, probably the greatest basketball YouTuber there is, gave this guy a unique nickname. Chris Smooth is the legend, the grandfather of 2K. He's the originator of YouTube when it comes to basketball. And the fact that he gave J.R Smith his own unique nickname goes to show how special of a guy he is. He's really unique. Number 5 could be deadly. If you look at this picture here, there are some games where JR will hit 7 threes, 8 threes, 9, 11 threes. It doesn't even matter. Even though JR is probably the most inconsistent shooter that there is, there are certain games where JR is probably the best player on the court. Threes. There was even one game where he had 11 threes. He could be really good. It's just that he's inconsistent. If he was really consistent in his shot, he could probably be better than Reggie Miller. Like I showed to you guys back in number 3 where he gave hope to the Knicks. JR was that damn good. And now, referring back to the NBA Finals moment, yeah, he made a horrible mistake. Yeah, it's true, he cost his team the game. But at the same time, you can't ignore how good of a player JR is. This guy was so good in the Knicks, so good in Denver, and he's pretty decent in Cleveland, yet people always want to make fun of him. I don't know, man. But anyways, that's the end of the video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Leave a like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the bell, because I'll be making videos every Monday and Thursday. Also follow me on Hardwood, and you'll see when the next video is coming up. And you get to also vote on the Hardwood Amino as well. It's James Voufo Safor, JVS. Pretty simple. But anyway, that's the end of the video. It was your boy James. Hope it's all good for you, because it's all good for me. I'm out, guys.